This is the Passive 25K podcast, a podcast built around the vision of creating wealth through passive income for ourselves and others. The idea of creating income while you sleep seems like a dream come true, but for most professionals, turning this into a reality is a different story. On this show, you will hear real people breaking passive income streams down to the basics, giving you the next steps to start your own passive income journey. If you're new to the show, my name is Kyle Reedstrom from Fargo, North Dakota, where I get to work with my team of agents and investors each day to complete our goal of $25,000 a month in passive income. Now, let's get right into our next conversation. This is the Passive 25K podcast with Kyle Reedstrom. We are the home of Passive Income University, where our mission is to build wealth through passive income for ourselves and others. Today, we have on our guest, Luke Rotvold from Phoenix, Arizona, wholesaling extraordinaire into the short-term investing game with our episode 12, which is Systemized Deal Flow in Real Estate Investing. Luke, super excited to have you on, man.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me. We finally got it together, so I like it.
Yes, man. I've been looking forward to this conversation. A quick bio on you, man. You've been in the real estate game for quite a while. You're the owner, co-owner. You have a partner in Viking
Correct, yep.
Real Estate Investments, right?
Yep.
You've been down in Phoenix for a long time. You guys wholesale deals. You're constantly doing renovation projects. You're constantly getting. I love your before and afters of your short term or your flips.
Thanks, man.
Anything that you guys are up to. You guys are into development. You've been doing new builds and even commercial. Man, this is, tell the audience a little bit about yourself. Take the words out of my mouth.
No worries. So basically what kind of, we got into real estate about 7 years ago. We went the traditional route that most people go when you start wholesaling, or if you're starting, traditional real estate. So I personally myself never got into traditional, but my business partner, Jake Landis, he was in traditional when he got started. So basically, when you're starting out, most people don't have money to go ahead and do flips. They don't have money to market a ton, right?
That's it.
So I mean,
yeah.
you kind of have to work with what you got. And so we started out and just literally just throwing mud against the wall and seeing what sticks, right? And so that's kind of how it started for us. We tried absolutely everything marketing wise, every sense you can imagine. But cold calling is obviously it's one of the cheapest ways to go. So that's what kind of stuck with us was cold calling. It was cheap, but then we really kind of perfected it. Right. I mean, we did it we're 7 years in, we still do it to this day. But most people will cold call for, let's say, an hour and a half here and there. We'd hop on for, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. Yeah. And most, if you've cold called, that's not fun. It's not easy to do. So, started implementing Madden. Madden kind of changed everything. It allowed us to be on there for longer. Just kind of took your mind off of the cold calls. But so that's kind of where we started out, wholesaling. Then once we kind of started making some money, we kind of went to that next step, which that next step is flipping, right? Then you start flipping a couple of properties. You start with one, you're like, okay, I've got enough saved up where I can have a down payment and I could, cover the rehab on a flip. So go that route, did a couple of them here and there. And then eventually you start doing, 2 flips a month, and then you start doing 3 flips a month, and then 5. So this year, I think we're on track right now to do, I think we're right around 80 flips this year.
Wow.
And then from that point, then you kind of just start getting to that point where you're like, okay, now we're getting all these deals that are coming through, and we are direct to seller on all these deals. So you're getting them deep, right? So obviously we were big on Burr, and if you don't know what Burr is in my opinion, it's the easiest way to start accumulating wealth. Because if you're direct to seller, you're getting properties at a good discount. You're able to put the money into them, and then you're able to basically pull all your money back out after you refi on it. Because after you refi on it, say they want a loan at 75%. Say you bought the house for $300,000, so you put $50,000 into it. You're onto at $350,000, but it appraises for $500,000, right? So something like that, then you don't have to be any money out of pocket. So that's what we basically did. So we have put together somewhere right in the ballpark of about 40 rental properties. In the state of Arizona. We do, Phoenix, Arizona, obviously if you're not familiar with Phoenix, basically all of the surrounding cities are still considered Phoenix, even though there's like 15 cities. So I mean, we dabble in all those cities, but then we also do a lot up in northern Arizona, which is where Jake and I are both from.
Okay.
So yeah, so we're from Prescott, Arizona, which is 2 hours north of Phoenix. It's kind of more of like a mountain town. It's got like a lot of charm to it. It's like Arizona's Christmas city of, so I mean, that's the state, I'm sorry, the city that we do the most in, because that's where we're from. So that's where most of our rental properties are and everything as well.
Cool.
But yes, but like I said, we got about 40. We got a 10 unit going in Sedona, and we're doing a 32 unit over in Prescott, new build as well. We just closed on our office building here in Gilbert, which is 30 seconds from my house and from my business partner's house.
Nice,
So I
man.
ride my e-bike to work now, which is it's made life nice.
Man,
So
I feel
yeah,
like if the audience's ears aren't perked up, man, your real estate track record is super cool, and it's very common to where people start and where they could go. I mean,
yeah,
or where they are along in the process. There's a couple things I want to touch on there, man.
yeah.
You took it to the cold calling in Madden. I think this is so genius. I came across these videos a while ago where, dude, it's videos, and you've even put them on your social.
Oh
You're
yeah,
playing Madden, like Madden football, if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about here. You're
absolutely.
gaming, you're competing. I mean, who doesn't like Madden that's ever played any sports? And then you're dialed in. You're doing business and having fun, kind of as a way to, hey, I'm not going to make this a big fear-based thing with cold calling and business and making it boring and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
and having that. So I want you to break that down a little bit. Was this just an idea? Did you guys just fall
Yeah.
into this? And how did it ramp it up for you guys? I mean, this
So
changed the game.
yeah, so it was basically for me. I was sitting at home and I was calling from home. Like I said, I was calling for about an hour and a half to 2 hours a day, and I was like, man, like this. It's like beating your head against the wall. It just gets old, right? And so then, like after I kind of started getting pretty comfortable with cold calling, I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to start at Madden. I'm going to start on arcade mode. I'm not going to hop into like online quite yet, you know. So I started on arcade mode because obviously, you know, when you get a good call, I'd have to stop and kind of start taking notes of the call, of how it was going. And so I did that for a while, and then I was like, you know what, like, okay, like I always do triple line dial. I always do talk to as many people as you possibly can. So I've got the fastest dialer going. Um, and so after I got comfortable with arcade mode, I was like, okay, I can step it up and go online now. So, and if you're not familiar, online it's a whole nother monster because you get one pause per game. So, you know, if you come across a couple leads during the course of your game, you got one chance to go ahead and get that info in. So, but I got to the point where, I mean, I was calling for, like I said, 5-6 hours a day because I was just playing Madden. Like, I was like, man, if I wasn't working, this is what I'd be doing anyway. Right. Cause
Yeah, man.
I'm 32 now. So it was from, 25 years old, 25, 26, 27, 28, those years where it's like, if you're not at work, me personally, I was just kind of just be hanging out with either, not my girlfriend at the time was not my wife, but so yeah, so it was like I was doing these activities that like most people are doing when they're at home anyway. So I was like, dude, I'm like legit working right now. I'm working and I'm playing Madden. And so the thing that was like the most amazing for me was that once I started breaking it down of like how much I was making per hour that I was dialing and playing Madden, I was like, oh damn, dude, I'm onto something. Like
Dude,
everyone needs to
make
be
money
doing this.
playing Madden, man. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. And so, I mean, I broke it down because I mean, and again, the more that you call, the better you're going to get. Obviously, it's like it's repetition, right? So, I mean, you call for an hour a day versus calling 6 hours a day. Who do you think is going to get the deals? The guy calling 6 hours a
Yeah,
day. You know what I mean? You're
that's right.
talking to that many more people. You're perfecting your craft that much more. You're sharpening your knife. So I mean, it's insane how much it changed. And then basically what we did, we started creating a team. Started bringing guys on, and they basically listened to my calls as well, and we trained with them every single day. And so yeah, building a team out, doing the exact same thing, and then there we go.
Man, I think there's so much to be said about the 10x concept of this because,
Yeah.
like you said, it was just time on task. You were
Oh
just
yeah.
amplifying greatly, multiplying your time on task
Yeah,
by
yeah.
doing something that's fun. I gotta believe you're sitting there gaming in some tight games, and you got a call on like a hot lead, and
Mm.
you're gaming, and you're like throwing a touchdown, and you're like, And they're like, are you still
Not,
there?
not even a question. No. So the worst is like, okay, you're gaming, right? And exactly like you said, you're on like a good call. And then it's like, yeah, you like throw a pick or something. Cause I'm the type where like, I'll check my controller.
Shit, no.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. And it's like exactly that right there. Like, what the no? And then you're like, oh, hold on. Sorry about that. No.
Sorry, my dog just walked in. No.
Yeah, no. So you kind
Oh
of have
my
to catch
gosh.
yourself. So it's good stuff though.
Dude. Okay, so the tactical side of me wants to ask, you're using for people in real estate, in the real estate world, or maybe people that aren't in the sales world, you're using a headset. You're
Yep.
using you use Mojo Dialer? Is that how
Yeah.
you did your
Mojo Dialer.
Mojo Dialer? How are you getting your lists generally? There's a lot of ways to do this, but
Yeah, so
or
you
like
can
how
buy
are you
them. So
calling?
we've bought them off of List Source in the past, but I mean, now what we kind of do is we've got some dispo companies that are here in Phoenix that when you get a deal, you can send it to them and they send it out to their 300,000 people on their buyers list, right? And they can usually typically get more money than most people, just because they've built such amazing lists. So what we've done as of recent is that we've kind of in a sense partnered with our dispo companies here, and they will send us, they'll pull a massive list of like, let's say 1 million, records here in the Phoenix area. And then they'll give us that list and then we will go ahead and call them. And then what we do in return is that once we get a deal, we send it to them to go ahead and dispo out if we're not going to flip it ourselves.
Nice.
So
Nice.
if
So
we're
yeah,
going to wholesale, we let them wholesale it. We tell them a price. Hey, this is the price we want for it. Anything you get on the top, you guys can go ahead and keep.
man, and that's because you guys are so great at what you do with the cold calling. More than anything,
Yeah.
you just did the work harder. Like that's the cool part about this. I love it when real estate investors that are because we have a lot of people that are getting started. So I love it when real estate investors hear you just have to do stuff. Just have to
You
do
have to
more
take
and stuff.
action. That's what so many
Yes.
people like, if you are just getting started in real estate, or if you were thinking about getting started in real estate, there's so much analysis paralysis going on because there's so many details of what you can do. There's so many different routes. There's so many different marketing schemes, right? There's text blast, there's SMS, there's voicemail drops, there's, direct mail, there's cold calling, there's, there's PPC, there's all these different routes you can go. And so I think that where a lot of people get into trouble when they're first thinking about getting started is they're like, well, which route do I want to go? You don't want to go this route. Do I want to go this route? And they, like I said, they overanalyze it. And it's like you overanalyze yourself so much where you don't do anything. And so it's like, you just need to jump in and start learning the ropes and then start getting better at what you're doing. Cause without actually putting in the work, you're never going to get better because you don't even know what you're doing.
Dude, you're so right. And we talk all the time about if you're not going to put in the work and put in the hours and grind, then we're huge advocates of, hiring a coach or a mentor or watching someone do it or being at their hip and watching them do it. And then you eventually have to jump in the game though, and so this is huge advice. I hope people catch that nugget because we've said it on here before and Luke is a perfect testament of it. And, the one thing that I want to touch on with your journey as well, with Passive 25K Group, we talk to a lot of people that want to get into solving the money problem. The money problem I always explain is, the bills every month outweigh the passive income coming in, so they have to work for it, make it active, and so your mentality, of course, yes, you're cold calling to get deals, possibly transact them and, take a fee, but eventually you got into, hey, we want long-term investments. We want, you touched on it. We want to create wealth. So how does your mindset sway there, Luke? Because you could stay in the deal and just churn deals, man. You're the best at it. But you know that you eventually you want the long game.
So I mean, I've been blessed enough to have some really good mentors in my journey in real estate over the past 7 years. So I mean, I got some buddies that have been in it for 10, 12 years, 15 years, right? And I've just taken things from them when it's the same thing as maybe people that are listening to this podcast right now, where you're thinking about getting started and you're going to listen to us because we've been there, right? So I was in the exact same spot 5 years ago where it's like, okay, I'm starting to make some good money now. You see it far too often where people are making good money and they just blow it. They blow it because it's like, you know what, if you're not actually putting into something that's going to, let your money, either continue to grow or it's going to save it, you're just blowing your money. Like everyone knows that's how it works. Right.
Mm.
And so, so yes, I mean, I kind of talked to some guys that I had a lot of respect for. And basically, they basically said, listen, your time, you're always going to look back and say, I wish I would have kept more properties. Like that's always going to be the thing that you look back and say, just because I've seen it happen far too many times. And I still have some friends who do extremely well. I mean, we're talking making millions a year, and the same thing, they didn't keep any properties. And so it's like, you look back and you're like, and now the market's where it's at. And you're like, man, like I don't want to buy properties now, you know what I mean? Because everything is so high.
Man.
And so, I mean, yeah, over the past, we didn't buy anything for the first couple of years because it was all saving up. But I mean, over the past 4 years or so, we just kept literally everything that made sense. So when a deal comes in, we looked at it to keep. That was the first thing. Okay, we're getting this property. This is a great property. What's the first thing that we always want to do? We want to keep it. If we're going to keep it, it has to make sense in one of two ways. It's either got to be a slam dunk for a long-term hold, or it's got to be in a really good area for a short-term rental where it's going to make a lot of sense. If those two things don't work, if it's like, this probably wouldn't do so well as a rental, it wouldn't do great as a short-term rental, then what we're going to do, then we're going to go ahead and look at it as a flip. If it doesn't make as much sense as a flip, then we're going to look at it as a wholesale. So, I mean, that's kind of the route that we would go. We always look first to keep, second, we look to flip, third, we look to wholesale.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that's what's built you up to, like you said, now you have 40 rentals, you've got a 10 unit, you got a 32 unit.
So so we got 40, including the 10 unit. Once the 32 is still in the process right now of going through it's going through permitting and everything through the city. So once that one is once that one gets rolling and that one gets completed, then we'll be at around 72 units.
And you got you have a lot of single family dwellings, which, differs from some investors. We have mostly single family.
Okay.
I love to hear your perspective on, multi versus single.
So I'll be honest with you. We like multi more than single. The only things we keep single for, the only thing is Airbnb. So short-term and Airbnb is the only thing we will do for single family. Everything else is multi and long.
So tell me why.
So, I mean, we've just noticed that like the money that you can get back with it. And just we also do our property management. So we're going to switch this up though in the near future, because that 10 unit in Sedona, we're talking about doing 10 Airbnbs with it.
Oh, nice.
So I don't know how it's going to go, but I mean, we believe that each unit could bring in 10,000 a month. So it'd be 100,000 from that property per month. So it's like, that's why we're willing to kind of look into it and see if it could, if that's the route we're going to go. But I mean, for us personally, it's just that, for multifamily, it's just been much easier to just keep those long-term. And they also don't do as well as a single family for an Airbnb for us.
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's kind of what we've noticed is that, most people that are going to be looking for an Airbnb, they don't want to have, maybe people on, if it's a fourplex, they don't want to have people on both sides of them and behind them and everything. That just tends to do better if you just have just a single family, nice little home. So
that makes sense, man. And you guys do your management. Do you manage your long-terms and your short-terms?
Yeah, we do. So we're going to build out a business for property management as well. Obviously we're going to get to that point where it's like, okay, this is kind of just stupidity for us to just be running it ourselves. So, I mean, we're going to see what that number ends up being, but yeah, once we get up to that level, then we're going to start taking on other clients and just actually start, full property management.
Man.
So short-term and long-term.
And I love how your guys are growing with, you're leading with revenue in a lot of your growth. I mean, you're kind of finding yourselves in these places, which I think is such a healthy thing. And here's the thing, your projects, man, I've already hyped it up a little bit. You have such cool projects. The eye for design, the way you guys are flipping properties is different than just the traditional maybe flipper that people have seen.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like HGTV stuff, man. You gotta be like sending out your pilot video for your show somewhere.
For sure. We'll look into that later on.
No, but I do. We're gonna take a little break, but when we come back, I really want to get into some of your project specifics because, some of the things you guys are doing are, I mean, they're beautiful, obviously, but we want to get some of the behind the scenes on how you get these things done and do it that well. So we'll take a little break. We'll be right back with Luke Rotvold down in AZ with Viking Real Estate Investment.
Awesome.
Hey, wanted to take a quick break from this week's episode. Wondering if you ever ask yourself, how do I get started in this stuff? Or if I'm already doing it, what are some next steps or people that are doing the same thing that I want to do, people on this passive income journey? Well, we were getting that question and we created a community of passive income investors called Passive Income University. This is a place where you can watch videos, things that we've done, where we put tools and information, where we've built a community of people that can communicate, ask questions, and grow together to start their passive income journey. And eventually we complete our passive income journey together. If you're interested in more info on Passive Income University, check us out at p25kg.com. We are back on the Passive 25K podcast with Kyle Reedstrom. Our guest today, Luke Rotvold, is telling us all sorts of knowledge on the wholesale flip BRRRR game, the development game down in Phoenix, Arizona. Luke, you've already shared a lot of stuff with us, but I can't wait to get into some of your project stuff, giving us some of the specifics on what you're doing. But on our first half of the podcast, we talked a lot about how your journey through, how you guys started transitioning into flips, investments, getting into BRRRR, getting into development.
Yep.
One of the things that doesn't get talked about enough is how you, especially as a young person, getting this business and starting to find your success, manage your lifestyle versus continuing to pour into the business, right? Because we're entrepreneurs. Yeah. You can continue to feed that beast, or you can make a big check and you can go watch it burn.
You can
right?
you can go to the club and you can get bottle service.
There you go. There's two ways. How have you specifically, you and your partner Jake, managed that?
Yeah, so honestly, for us, it's been kind of funny. It's because we have been coming across quite a few projects and quite a few deals. It hasn't been the most fun, especially for our wives. They're not always the happiest about this. But we honestly pay ourselves very, very little, which is not easy to do when you've got some pretty good sized checks coming in. Because we typically list about 5, right around 5 projects per month. For a while there, obviously everyone knows when the market was crazy. We were doing about 5 flips that were closing a month, maybe around maybe around 80 to 100,000 each. It's just like when you got that money coming in, it's hard to not like go crazy and go spend it on dumb stuff, right? But no, we pay ourselves very little, and we continually roll it back into our business and roll it into investment properties. And so again, that's not easy to do, and it's not the most fun. But what we've been able to do is find a way to really, really love rolling that into investment projects. Like I love real estate anyway. But so now we'll say, okay, hey, we're going to, with these checks right here, we're going to go ahead and turn this one into a sick Airbnb downtown. Right. Or with this one, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put that in as a down payment into a 4-plex. And again, when you're direct to seller, you're coming across so many more projects that just make so much more sense. And so that's one way of how it's been easier for us to come across to add a 40 units to our portfolio. Right. But yeah, again, it's not the most fun to do when the wives are like, hey, you guys are doing really well. Where's the money? And it's like, well, yeah, man, it's in that unit, that one, it's in that 4-plex. So, it's again, it's not the most fun for them, but you got to think long-term. If you're not thinking long-term, exactly what you guys are all about right here, 25K, passive 25K, that is how you do it. You got to buy real estate. You can't sit on the sidelines and just hope that it comes to you. You got to make moves on it. And sometimes it's going to be a little bit scary to do, right? Like sometimes it's like, I'm going to be maxing out my buying ability again right now. Maybe you're going to have to go find a DSCR loan, maybe you're going to have to figure that out. But again, it's like, if you can do these things at a young age and keep these properties, like the first couple of properties I bought, I think my first house that I bought, I was 21 years old. That was my primary residence. But my first rental properties I bought, I bought 3 of them when I was 25 or 26. They were super cheap, super inexpensive, but I just held them, threw long-term tenants in there, and the value of them literally doubled on all 3 of them within a couple of years. And I just started doing 1031s. So that's kind of, one of them started from a 30K purchase on a little condo. Sold it bought a 150K condo, sold it, bought 2 houses with it. And then those 2 houses now have turned into 2 other houses One is a duplex. One is a house with a guest house, and then the other one is another house with a bunkhouse. And those are probably a value total about 1.5 million between the two of those. And that all started with a
from that.
$30,000. Yeah.
Dude, and I mean, I think it's so tough. It's a tough topic because it's delayed, man. Everybody wants things now, right?
Absolutely.
Like,
Delayed gratification.
and you have in real estate, but here's the thing: we go back to analysis paralysis. You have to start yesterday, and if not yesterday, it's today. And I think we spend a lot of time. I spend a lot of time encouraging people to get off the fence and jump in, because once you're in the game, man, there's support. There's people out there doing this. Like, you
Yeah,
can ramp yourself up.
for
And when
sure.
it comes to lifestyle, and you talk about the wives being like, "Hey, I think we had a good month," how do you actually give yourself a victory lap, though? Do you structure that out? Do you put some goals out there where
Absolutely.
you give
Abs-
yourself a treat, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I sit down with my wife, and when we plan out, I do it with obviously my business partner as well, with Jake. But if I'm talking more so with my wife here, we sit down and we'll do, hey, you know what, if we hit this level, if we hit this certain amount, when we typically do it in you'll like this, we do it in passive income. That's how we determine.
Yes.
We don't do it in income, we do it in passive income.
It's not
So
what you make, it's what you keep, and
exactly.
what generates. I love
Yeah.
that,
So
man.
we say, okay, when we hit this number in passive income, we'll go on a trip, right? If we hit this number in passive income, we're going to buy this. If we hit this number in passive income, we'll start looking into a house over here. If we hit this number in passive income, we're going to go buy that yacht. So like, these are all goals that we have. So the, I hit one, we hit one we hit one about 6 months ago. And with that one, that was my kind of thing. And I bought my R8. So
Nice,
yeah.
man. Yes.
So I bought that
If
one
you
with,
if
that
you
was
if
that
you
number.
want to see that, check out Luke's social profiles, because it is freaking sweet, man. So, and that's good. That wasn't a shiny object purchase. That was something you worked on, had to hit a certain mark, right? Like, I love hearing
Oh, and
stories like
and
that.
that's what's fun about it too. You make it fun. And like with that one, I just said, hey, listen, if we hit this number, like that car is not going to be an issue at all. Like it's going to be like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're going to be solid. And so that was it.
Oh, that's good, man. Well, dude, I love seeing that. Again, it's fun that you put yourself out there too, that you're sharing this with your online audience and just bringing people into some of your projects, which is what I want to get into.
Yeah.
Dude, it's one thing to do a project, to do a flip, to furnish an Airbnb. It's another thing to do it to the level that you guys do it. Give us some of how you got there, or even some of the behind the scenes on how you
Yeah.
go about these projects.
Yeah. I mean, so honestly, I've been passionate about design my whole life. I mean, honestly, when I was going to college, I seriously contemplated going into interior design. So that was like a serious thought for me. I didn't end up doing it, obviously, but it was something that I thought about doing. And so just literally have a love for it. Like,
Mm.
it sounds kind of crazy, but probably an hour and a half a day of my every single day, like regular, my regular day is basically spent. This sounds so funny. It's spent on Pinterest,
Yes.
Amazon, Wayfair, and I literally look at all of our projects that we have, and we just start like game planning and like picking stuff out. And again, it's not like a stupid amount of time, but I mean, I probably spend 5 to 7 hours a week of literally just like, okay, thinking like, oh, that would look sick there, like that would look sick there, this is really cool. Like, so I mean, like I could turn my camera around for you. So I mean, obviously I designed my office here, but we just moved into our new office, and like, so
Yes.
you can see it from where I'm at right now. So I mean, I can turn my camera around if you want me to, but it's pretty nasty. But I mean, again,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
the amount of time and love that went into this office. But I mean, that's just kind of how we try to do it with every one of our projects. Again, we kind of have it tiered towards like, okay, anything that's under 300K is going to be this level, right? Anything under 500K is going to be this level. And then typically what we do is anything that's going to be like a 600K and up project, we really make sure that we're going to go like balls to the wall on it and do every single detail and not miss anything, right? Just because
Gotcha.
again, how we view it is that you have to do those things, because someone who's going to be looking for $1 million home, those are the things that they're going to be looking at.
Yeah.
Where
That's
someone
right,
who's
man.
buying a $300,000 home, they're not going to need $6 a square foot tile. They're just not. You don't need that in one of in one of those houses. You don't need a farmhouse sink in a $300,000 home. You don't need, you know what I'm saying. You don't need detailed walls and stuff like that. Where in a $1 million home, these are things that people are going to be looking for them. What does this house have versus this $1 million home? So.
Yeah, dude. So give us an example of one that you've done recently, because I've seen you get to the finish line on a couple of these. What's maybe a story from one of these?
So one, I'm not sure. Did you see the one I posted about 2-3 weeks ago? It had like the big white and black. It had the big white and black fireplace, and it had the all tongue and groove ceilings.
Yes, it had the beams
with the beams
at the beams. Yes, dude.
So that one's up in Prescott. So we bought that one for $480,000. We went ahead and we put 250,000 into it. And it was a long project. It was one of the longest projects we've ever had, in the sense of how, the process and moving it was a long project.
Yeah. Like from finding the deal to where, how long did it take?
It was about 10 months from when we bought it to when we got it listed.
Oh, okay. So that's not even like long in my head, but yeah.
For us, it is. For us, it's too long. But anyway, so we listed it for 1.1. Listed it for 1.1, and we got a full price cash offer in 3 days.
Oh man, I love it.
That was last week.
And that was okay. There you go. Congratulations on selling that one now, man. And so that was one
it's set to close in like 10 days, 2 weeks, something like that. So
okay, so then you're anxiously awaiting that closing date to recoup all that.
Yes.
So that was one you guys did to the nines. Did not want to keep that as a rental. I mean, that was just the right move for that one.
I mean, it would have been an awesome Airbnb. Like, trust me, it would have killed it. But again, like how we viewed it is like, if you can make that kind of money on a flip, take the money and run. You'll find another Airbnb opportunity that, you can do something cool with, and you don't have to have a, $5,000 loan per month on it. Like, it's this, we pick our battles. Like, even though the property came out so sick and it would have been amazing to keep, it wasn't one of those ones that makes a ton of sense. So.
Yeah. And I love the abundant mindset behind, you always know there's another deal coming because you've created that machine.
Absolutely.
So you can really make decisions based on merit right today, what's best for each property, instead of having the scarcity of like, well, we got to keep as many as we can, when like, hey, this is the right move for this one. This is the right move for this one.
No, exactly. And so something we're kind of getting into now a little bit, just because the market has slowed down a little bit for us, is that we're actually we're going to start, I'm not sure if you saw, I think I posted about it today. We're going to be offering the ability to go ahead and rehab and design people's flips for them. So if someone's got like a good deal, or if someone's got like the rehab money to get it all figured out, we're going to go ahead and offer and say, hey, listen, we will go ahead and design, because we have a lot of people reaching out saying, hey, like, where do you guys get your design from? And we're like, that we do it. We do the design. So they're like, okay, well, would you ever design it for me? Would you ever do this? And it's like, so we're going to offer, we're going to put that out there, that we will go ahead and design your property for you, and we'll run the full renovations on it. Because we've got crews. We got a lot of good crews now that we've built over the past 7 years. And so we're going to start offering that. We'll say, hey, listen, you got the property. If you want to go ahead and fund it, we'll design it. We'll do the whole flip. And, we're just going to charge, it's going to be a pretty decent, it's going to be a decent, fee that we're going to charge to do that. Because that means we're going to be taking that fee away. We're going to be taking that crew away from our flip, right? We're going to be taking those ideas and we're going to be putting them into someone else's property. But I mean, we just partnered on one that we're going to do. We're starting it tomorrow. But I mean, it's going to be like a $30,000 fee.
Wow, man. So, and getting into the consultation, another way to raise cash for long-term investments.
And there's not a lot of risk. So,
man, that's cool. And you're being nimble with the market. Like you say, things slow down a little bit. Now you're a consultant. You're in there creating a cash flow, an active style of cash flow there.
And so that's
you can
something,
keep pouring.
Exactly. And that's something I think we've done really well with as well as we've been able to pivot when things are not going well, cause I mean, as a business owner, things don't always go as planned. You might start spending this amount on marketing. You're like, what the hell? Where's all the deals? Like, this was supposed to work. This worked last month. What's going on? And then it happens a second month, and then a third month, and then a fourth month. And so then you're sitting there like, okay, well, I don't know. We've got 4 months in a row now where this marketing thing's not working. So we might need to pivot and try something different. So, I mean, we had that happen when speaking of pivots, where that happened when Phoenix started getting really, really hot for the wholesaling and flipping market. It was like our third year in. So we just didn't have a lot of capital still to where we could, start putting a lot of money into marketing. And so the deals just kind of started disappearing. We just weren't really getting any. So we were at a point in our business where we're like, okay, we got to figure something out. Like, we're not getting any deals anymore. So we have to figure something out. And so that was when we went ahead and we switched over and we started doing stuff up north, back where we were from, up in Prescott. We're like, okay, let's try some stuff there and just see how it goes. We know the market there. It's not a huge town. It's only 100,000 people, but we'll try it out. So we did that, and it was like fishing with dynamite. Like, it was like, we were doing the things we were doing here in Phoenix, but we were doing it in a smaller town. And we'd cold call, and they'd be like, well, this is interesting. I've never received a phone call with someone who wants to buy my house right now. Yes, of course you can. It was so crazy. You're saying that I don't have to pay any realtor fees and you'll take it as is? That's exactly what I'm saying. You got me. Yes. I mean, it was, so we pivoted and we switched up there, and it was, like I said, we were crushing it then. Then we started getting more money, in from pivoting over there. And so then we got to start moving back into the Phoenix area again. So it's you always have to be able to adapt. Adaptation is it's so insanely important in this industry.
Yeah, man. And you were listening, and Prescott's only 100,000 people. I didn't even know that, man.
Yeah.
We're in the Midwest up here, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, a lot of small towns. A lot of people get discouraged because we don't have the population density, but it's like, you don't need a huge amount of density. You need a blue ocean of contacts and houses. And,
Exactly.
I'm from a very small town in South Dakota, and I know real estate investors that do extremely well there. It's just different zeros and different different games.
No, exactly. And I mean, you got to think, you got to think deep rather than wide. That's really what it comes down to. Own your market. I mean, that's what we truly feel like up in Prescott. We feel like we are the home buyers. Like, when people come across properties, they think about us to sell them to. So
that's huge, man. That's a cool thought for people to think on right there.
Yeah,
Is like, where can you own?
Become that person. Become the person that everyone thinks about when they want to sell a house. And I mean, you can do that. You can do that in small markets too. In big markets, it's more difficult. But again, you can think wider in larger markets because there's more to go around, right? In Phoenix, 100%. There's 6.5 million people in Phoenix alone, and there's 80,000 people moving to Phoenix every single year right now. So
yes, yeah, and it can overwhelm. But again, we're talking small market. It's just being nimble in either market and finding your way. For guys that have a lot of experience in real estate investing, that have seen a lot, I always like to ask the question, what's like one of your most successful deals? And then on the counter side, what's one where like that blew up on you, or a big failure? Because sometimes it sounds like people are always winning, touching everything that turns to gold, but really you had to go through a lot of stuff to get to this point that you're at right now.
No, there's no doubt about it. So, I mean, one that comes to mind, it was a huge purchase for Jake and I. This might've been mine and Jake's first investment property that we bought together through Viking Real Estate as our company. So again, we were doing well, but not like well enough where it was like, oh yeah, let's go ahead and buy this. So we had a fourplex come up. And it was like one of those things where it was in a good area, and we're like, okay, like the numbers seem right. It was a fourplex, and it was fairly clean. It needed some work. Obviously, each unit I'll tell you about it. But so we bought it for $400,000. It was $100 a door. They're 2-bedroom, 1-bath units like I said, in a really good area of Prescott. So we're like, damn, we just added 4 doors. We've never had a multifamily before. And like, if you're only doing single family and then you come across a multifamily, the thought of multifamily can be a little scary, because you're like, it's a big monster, like, and it's going to get you, right? And so it's like, and so we went and pulled the trigger on it. And right when we pulled the trigger on it, we had two of the tenants. So all the tenants were paying between $700 and $800 for rent. And the rents at the time should have been around probably $1,000 to $1,200. And they were all paying 7 to 8. So we had to make the really fun walk down, down all four doors and say, hey, we're going to be raising the rents to this number. If you don't want, that's no worries. Just let us know. And we'll be giving you a 30-day notice. And so, they all got obviously super upset. Well, that's ridiculous. I'm like, well, we bought the place, so we can do that. In Arizona, you have every right to do that, which is nice. Unlike California you can't do that kind of stuff. But anyway, so I think 3 of the 4 tenants left. So here we are now with a big mortgage on a 4-unit that we're like, wow, like, did we just get in over our head? So we start renovating unit by unit by unit, start plugging people in. So that like I said, we probably bought that in 2017 would be my guess. Maybe 2018, probably 2018. So we've redone 3 out of the 4 units now. The 4th unit, we kept the original lady in there, and she was actually a sweetheart, and we've kept her in there. We've raised the rents, and she's been perfectly fine with it every time. So we're all into that property now, about $480,000. So after absolutely everything, and realistically right now, it's probably worth about 1.1.
Oh man. And you still have it.
Oh yeah. We've said that. We've said it. I don't know if we'll ever sell that one. That's kind of like our baby. It's kind of like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like,
dude, I love it.
There's like a sentimental value behind that 4-plex. So
very nice. So that's a huge win, man. And have you guys done any refinance to pull money out of that one, or just kind of left it?
No, we did. Yeah. We refied, pulled some money out, but we didn't pull a lot out. I think we owe right now, like 600 on it. So we still have around 500 because we put money down on it. So I think we owe 6, and it's worth like 1.1.
And I love that you guys went and said, hey, we got to get the rents where we got to get them. That's a thing that people kind of dance around a little bit in our area, but and people might leave, but that's your investor. You got to wear your investor hat on some of this stuff.
You have to. And so the 3 units that we have renovated, they're all pulling in $1,500 a month now. And then the 4th unit, the lady that we haven't renovated her property, she's paying like $1,300.
Yeah, so you guys have literally doubled the rent roll on this place.
Oh yeah,
whatever the math is on that.
We definitely have. Yeah. So it's pulling in. It's pulling in like what is that? 45. It's pulling in like 60. No, not 6. Pulling like 58, 5,700, something like that.
Yeah, man. Okay.
So that was.
Let's hear the other side. What's the other side of the coin?
Oh man, jeez. I mean, we've had multiple properties. Actually, okay. I mean, I can think of one for sure. So this is perfect. That's the positive side of the 4-plex game, right? So the negative side, the worst thing that I wouldn't say this is the worst thing, but it's just one of those deals where, again, you were in that position and you didn't pull the trigger, right? So that's the time we did pull the trigger. We had a time that was probably right around that exact same time frame. Where we had a 4-plex downtown Gilbert. So that's right where we live now. It's right where this office is right now. And it was the same thing. It was a 4-plex and it was rough. It needed a lot of work, but it was offered to us. Oh, this is rough. I don't even see. Now you got me ready to cry over here. This was offered.
You already shed these tears.
These tears have been shed multiple times, maybe even last week. So this one was offered to us at $320.
Okay.
And it was rough though. And it, so it needed everything. But again, we were just not really, I don't know whether it was not in a position to do it or maybe not mentally, like, where it was like realistic, where we thought we could do it. And so we didn't, we passed on it. We thought about it. We definitely thought about it. But then we ended up passing on it. And I mean, it's the same numbers. That thing's probably renting out for 15 to 17. It's probably worth 1.1. That one, realistically, where that one's at, it could be worth 1.2, 1.3, and
man,
and we let that one slip through our fingers.
The one that got away,
and that one we could have bought for like $320. So we could have bought that one like $80,000 less than
man.
Before. So we all have those deals, though. The ones that you think back on, and you're like, man, I wish we bought that, or I wish we did this. So
That
was
just
probably
gets
the
the
number one.
hunger going, man. The flame
It
keeps
does.
burning then.
Oh,
Dude,
absolutely.
it's so cool to hear the stuff that you guys see in your world. I know a lot of our audience is really tuned in at this point because there's just a wealth of knowledge coming from you. Where are you guys going with Viking? Like, what's the vision? What in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, so the vision is really to go multiple routes. I mean, obviously we want to continue wholesaling, flipping, we want to continue building that team bigger. Last year we did 2.7 million. This year before everything kind of slowed down, we were on pace for 5 million, which would have been crazy. But I mean, we'll still see where this year kind of takes us. But I mean, no, we want to get this to be a $10 million machine, per year of just wholesale and flipping, where we can ultimately, in a sense, take ourselves out of the everyday, picture of it. So that's 100% the plan. But I mean, we want to do property management. We've talked about doing a brokerage through our office here, just a traditional real estate brokerage. So I mean, we've got lots of ideas of where we want to go. I mean, the other big thing that we want to do is we want to start getting into some large multifamily, right? So I mean, like I said, you heard me say we're doing, we did the 10 unit and we've got the 32 unit, but I mean, we want to start buying 100 unit, 200 unit, 500 unit, and either whether it's developing or buying existing ones. That's kind of the route that we see ourselves going.
Cool.
We have this thing that we're doing. It's called Road to 1,000 units. So that's our plan.
I love it. I love the visual too.
Yeah.
Road to 1,000, man. And I think it's so important for people to have a finish line, to have a vision like that. And the cool thing about Luke is if you follow him, and obviously you're kind of an open book that way, you also have a high priority on family. And you have you have kiddos, your wife, you guys are in the business together. You guys are doing stuff at the properties. I really value that side of how you do business. And I think that creates the wealth, not in the numbers, but in the passing along the skills and the expertise you guys have in the mentality to your, obviously your family, but your kids too.
Yeah.
Man. I think that's one of the coolest parts of what you do.
No, for sure. I mean, you do it all for a reason. I mean, that's for us, that's what it is. It's all about the family. That's why we do what we do, so.
Man. Well, hey, Luke, we're running out of time, but where can people find you to watch? I've been hyping you up on your social platforms, but where can people follow you, see what you're up to, and keep track of you?
Yeah, I mean, on YouTube, we're just the Viking Boys. So you can see obviously our sign right here. So I mean, that's on YouTube. Facebook is just my name, Luke Rotvold, ROTVOLD, and then on Instagram it's Luke_RO_. Nice. Okay. And make sure you do, guys. Yeah. Give them a follow and watch what they're up to, because there's just neat projects coming through, and it's beautiful Arizona. So anybody from North Dakota loves to see the sunshine, even if it's via social media. So come on down.
Man, I hope our audience got a ton of notes. We've enjoyed having you on, Luke. Definitely want to have you on again down the road. And thanks for being a part of the podcast, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Cal.
This has been the Passive 25K podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future conversations. Also, tell us what you thought by leaving a comment below on today's topic. If something really hit with you, don't be afraid to share this with someone else that's interested in passive income. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll catch you next time for another episode of the Passive 25K podcast.